How was your Thanksgiving, buddy?
It was pretty good. Got to watch some hoops, some football. Really, feast week is the best week in all of sports because, I mean, think about it. You got basketball, you got an NFL, and you got college football.
It's a great time to be alive, eating all, but I am glad we're here back with AU Nation. Let's do it. Hello and welcome to AU Nation. Each week we bring together members of the Auburn Student Media Group and discuss the latest topics in sports. I'm Carter Gustin. Thanks to our producer JJ Jackson, our co-host Evan Blank, who couldn't join us today because he got caught up in Thanksgiving traffic. On today's show, we'll discuss Auburn's end to the regular season, predict this week's college football conference championship games, fill in some blanks, and finally, of course, play our favorite AU Nation trivia.
Hello, I'm Noah Gardner. Now, let's introduce today's panel of experts. Our first guest today is Stefan Sheffield. He's an Eagle Eye TV sports analyst. Stefan, how are you?
You know, I'm feeling pretty good, for like the Warriors and the Cavs, back-to-back shows,
Yeah.
Thanks for having me again.
Hey, a lot of points scored, too, between those two teams. Good gracious. Our other expert today is Keith Gamble. He is also an Eagle Eye TV sports analyst. Keith, how are you doing today?
Doing well. Thank y'all for having me on here. I'm really looking forward to it.
Hey, we're glad to have both of y'all here, so let's get this thing going.
All right, we start with Auburn football. The regular season has come to an end for the Tigers after their 30-12 loss to the Alabama Crimson Tide on Saturday in the Iron Bowl. Auburn finishes the regular season with an 8-4 overall record and 5-3 mark in the SEC. Guys, I just want to know, how would you grade Auburn's season looking at it as a whole?
I think before the year, if you were to tell me that Auburn would go to Oxford and beat Ole Miss, would go to Starkville, beat Mississippi State, would beat LSU, and would beat Arkansas here, I would say it's a pretty good season before the year. But, I guess if you look at it from the beginning of the year, I'd say 8-4 would be great. But if you were to look at it, say about 6 games in, it's a whole different story just because the way these injuries impacted this team. But I still think overall, 8-4 is not a bad record. I think what makes it 10 times worse is across the state, you have the most dominant dynasty in the history of college football, which really magnifies everything. But I think 8-4 at this young of a team, especially all the skill positions essentially are freshmen and sophomores, except for a couple. So I really think that I think for the most part of a successful season, the defense improving so much is really promising. I think for this team in the future.
Keith, if it were a test, what would you give Auburn, like a tested school here at A, B, C, D, F?
I would say B plus.
B plus. All right, that's pretty good. Pretty good.
I can get on board with a B+. I agree with generally everything you said. You look at it coming into this year. I still had some hopes for Auburn and some expectations. I know a lot of people didn't coming off from last year, but I knew the potential that Auburn had everywhere else but quarterback. And guess what? Quarterback did pan out for the most part until injuries came crashing down. I think if you look at it from the standpoint of last season, you're right. This is a very successful year, and you could probably grade them as far as an A. But if you look at it from the standpoint of, like you said, 6 games in or even more, 8 games in, while Auburn's staring at a playoff spot, I think you can look at it more in the B range because you didn't quite complete the goals that you set yourself. Goals can change from week 1 on, and goals certainly changed for Auburn. And for Gus Malzahn to have lost another year to Georgia and Alabama in the same year, I wouldn't necessarily mark this year as a successful season for the Auburn Tigers.
I have to give him a B, not B-, not B+. Pretty good season, like you said. Coming in, you say, well, the quarterback situation is kind of shaky. Yep. Transfer Rock Thomas and the dismissal of Javon Robinson. You're like, well, what are they going to do? Then the emergence of Cam Petway. The team looked pretty good coming out. Kevin Steele, defense looked pretty good. Coverage needs a little work. Like you said, they were hoping for more, especially 6 games in, like you said, playoff berth right in their face. Kind of fell short at the end, but like you said, pretty good season, something to build off of.
Hey, second best team in the SEC by far. They may not be going to Atlanta, but they still did finish second in the SEC.
All right, well, let's talk about where Auburn will be going. And this regular season is over. It's time for the postseason. What's your guys' prediction is where Auburn will head for their bowl game this season?
Well, aside from the Iron Bowl this weekend, pretty much everything else this weekend went in Auburn's favor. You got Vanderbilt going up into Nashville and beating down a Tennessee team that has really just imploded these last few weeks. And just like Auburn was steering a playoff berth in the face, UT, if they had won that game, they're a lock in the Sugar Bowl. And they completely blew it. And then Florida State beating up the Gators.
Right.
And then LSU beating A&M. Really all panned out for Auburn. So I think right now, especially with Alabama, I think is going to destroy Florida on Saturday. That pretty much locks up Auburn as the second best team in the SEC. And you kind of that's a Sugar Bowl. That's the rule. Second best team in the SEC gets a Sugar Bowl bid. So
I mean, nobody else in the SEC had 9 wins this year, and Alabama's at 12-0. So Auburn did fall into that second spot, and it's hard to believe that Auburn backed their way into the Sugar Bowl with all of these teams losing, and them losing as bad as they have these past couple of weeks. It's hard to imagine that Auburn's going to the Sugar Bowl, but they are. And I mean, if Florida wins this week, then Florida will be there. But I'm picking Alabama to win that game, so I have a feeling Auburn will be in the Sugar Bowl come New Year's Day.
Let's just play the scenario game. Let's say Florida does win. Then obviously Florida will go to the Sugar Bowl, and that would leave the Auburn Tigers at the Outback Bowl in Tampa.
Or the Citrus Bowl.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Well, I don't see Florida winning that game, so like you said, I do see them in the Sugar Bowl against an Oklahoma team. You know, it should be a pretty good matchup. Yeah, expect to see them in New Orleans.
Yeah, I mean, you better hope Auburn's got some players that are healthy, especially if they've got to play Oklahoma or Oklahoma State. That's probably who they're looking at playing, the Big 12 winner, and that'll be decided in Bedlam this weekend.
Right.
Well, Noah, good news is we do have some time before the Sugar Bowl would kick off, time to get healthy. But that is it for the Auburn segment. After the break, we're going to fill in some blanks. This is Eagle Eye TV and AU Nation.
So, I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born, and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
Our popular game, Fill in the Blank, is back with a brand new edition. For those who've never watched, I'm going to read a sentence that's missing a word, and your job is to fill in that blank. First up, we start in college basketball. The game that I'm looking forward to most in the ACC Big Ten Challenge is blank.
I'm going to go with Georgia Tech and Penn. Actually, no, I'm going to go with North Carolina and Indiana. I think that game, just from a rankings perspective, is by far the most intriguing game this weekend. I believe two top 5 teams there. Some other interesting games, I think Duke versus Michigan State. Although Michigan State has dropped out, their schedule has just been brutal this year. I still think they're going to be a very good team. And Tom Izzo, can never count him out. But if I had to choose one game to watch, I'm going to watch Indiana and North Carolina.
Well, you just took 2 of my favorites off the list. So I'm going to go with Syracuse at Wisconsin. This is kind of a game that's flying under the radar for me, mainly because Q's just lost this past weekend to South Carolina in blowout fashion, but I still think they have potential to be a great team coming off the Final Four appearance from last year. And then you're also talking about Wisconsin, led by Nigel Hayes. These are 2 teams that could be really good and could be challenging in their conferences at the end of the season. I think this game tells us a lot about where they're at this point in time of the year and then their weaknesses going forward and what they have to adjust. So that's why I'm excited to watch it.
I have to agree with you. Let me go on record by saying I am a Syracuse fan, so when they do make it to the Final Four, I don't want to hear bandwagon jokes.
Yeah.
But, Jim Boehm's defense, that zone defense, is almost impenetrable. I did say that almost because, they did lose South Carolina. But I like their transition as far as defense, like the full court press. Yeah. Great. They're top 4 in the nation with allowed points with 55. Andrew White III, great senior leader. And, opposite him in Brunson, the head-to-head matchup should be pretty good. So, like you said, it'll be a key game I'm watching this weekend.
Yeah, you got the 2-3 zone in the zone of Syracuse going against Wisconsin, who dribbles the basketball around until 1 second on the shot clock, throws it up, and makes it every time.
Right.
All right, guys, we transition from college hoops to the NBA. Blank has been the most surprising player in the NBA this season.
This is my favorite player in the league, so it's not a surprise to me, but I think to most people, and that's number 13, the beard for the Houston Rockets, James Harden.
Been good.
Right now he's 4th in the NBA in points and number 1 in assists, and this team under Mike D'Antoni is just completely turned around, honestly. The defense is still a little shaky, but if you're putting up the numbers that Harden's putting up, you don't need to play that good defense, honestly. He's completely led this team to a 10-6 record right now, and they're actually ranked 7th in the ESPN Power Rankings right now. Doing a heck of a lot better than anyone thought they would before the season started.
Yeah, I'm going to go with James Harden as well. When I heard in the preseason, or right before the season was about to start, that he was transitioned to the point guard position, he was going to play some point guard this year, I was like, oh no, this can't end well. Right. The Rockets really have hit rock bottom if they're looking for him to do everything for them. And that's not to say that he's not a great player, but that's a huge testament to how much personnel that Houston has and what they're lacking. And for James Harden to have gone and have put up 12.2 assists per game this season, have really played like this amazing point guard, not only distributing, but also with the ability to score like a shooting guard. He's been really a dynamic player, and I think this is really the first time we've seen a guy be able to shoot, drive, dish, play defense I mean, all of these things that James Harden does well, and we haven't seen that at the point guard position before, not to mention the size. It's almost like this hybrid point guard position that we really haven't seen. Closest we've gotten to it is Russell Westbrook.
Right. Well, you can say, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, KD even, big brand names. But, as I read the question, it said the most surprising. So I'm going to have to go to Philadelphia, trust the process. Mr. Joel Embiid. At first we thought, it's another Greg Oden situation. His third season, technically his first official season. Yeah. He's leading the team in 3 classifications with 18 points a game, 8 rebounds a game, and 3 blocks a game. Philadelphia has been waiting for a superstar since the Allen Iverson era, and he's looking like he can be the next thing. I'm going with them and trusting the process.
When you watch out for the Sixers, they got a lot of young talent there when Simmons is healthy too and once he turns into a player.
Mm-hmm. And they're not lasting wins either.
They're not.
Yeah,
It's always a plus.
I like that. It's an off-the-wall pick. I like that. We move on to college football now. Purdue should go after blank as their next head football coach.
All right, I'm going to go with a little long shot here and go with Charlie Strong. He just got canned at Texas, but this is a team that hadn't made a bowl game since 2012. Mm-hmm. Football is not their thing there. The last few seasons, they've just been struggling. I'm talking 2, 3, 4 wins a season. They need a coach who's going to get in there and build some momentum around this program, some excitement around it. I think Charlie Strong, I think that's a job he's more suited for. Obviously, you go to Texas, that's one of the most stressful jobs in the country. Expectations at an all-time high. I think he did such a good job in that Louisville job because he went in there, not high expectations. He was able to build excitement about the program, kind of make that program what it is. I think him going to a place like Purdue where he's not, if he wins 6, 7 games, he's not going to get fired. Yeah. He's not talking about the hot seat. He can kind of do it his way and build that program out.
And not to mention, he's been at a program similar to that in Louisville. While Louisville is having much more success now. Still not an amazing football school, and it's around in the same area as Purdue, so he does have experience there. Another name that's come up, I don't necessarily agree with it because I don't think it's as high profile of a job for him. It's Les Miles. His name has came up in their search, but the guy that I really want to see Purdue go after is P.J. Fleck of Western Michigan. Western Michigan's undefeated right now. The only other undefeated team other than Alabama this year playing in the MAC championship game. He has built Western Michigan from the bottom all the way to the top, and he's got that team playing for him, and for him to be that great of a head coach and for what he's done at Western Michigan, they're a talented bunch, and I think he'd do that at Purdue as well, especially being familiar with the Midwest. I think Purdue's the way for him to go.
Well, you two actually mentioned the 2 coaches I was going to bring up with Les Miles and Charlie Strong. Les Miles, when he went to Oklahoma State, horrible seasons, 13 wins in 3 seasons. His first season there, he did go 4-7, but if you look at the next 3 seasons, he did go 8-5, 9-4, 7-5. Went to LSU, national championship, 2 SEC championships. I think him and Charlie Strong, they need to go to a program where they can build it up and also regain confidence in themselves. Yeah. P.J. Fleck, I do like him. I like him a lot, but if I think he's going to leave Western Michigan from what he be, I think he's going to be like a top-notch program, So Charlie Strong, Les Miles, I do like them in that situation, like I said, to regain the confidence in themselves.
All right, couldn't agree more.
Love that we get Western Michigan and row the boat on the show. But after the break, we predict Conference Championship Week in college football. This is AU Nation.
I hope that you've been able to learn a strong work ethic surrounded by character, integrity, perseverance, so that when your 1 second comes, you'll be prepared for it.
Chris Davis. 45, there goes Davis!
Your 1 second, our 1 second is now. And our lives have been guided by the principles of one of the greatest academic institutions in the country, Auburn University.
Welcome back to AU Nation. Today we predict some of the conference championship games happening this upcoming weekend in college football. We start with the SEC, Alabama versus Florida. Noah, let's start with you. Who wins?
No doubt in my mind, the Crimson Tide will be rolling this weekend. Florida comes in with this philosophy that plays right into Alabama's hands. I don't think they'll be able to score. I would be shocked if they scored 1 touchdown in this game. I think that Florida at best can put up 6 or 9 points off field goals. But then again, their kicking game's not that great either. I think Alabama's just going to run all over them.
Yeah, I couldn't agree anymore. I think, as much as it pains me to say, the Tide are going to roll in this one. They're favored by 24.5 points as of this afternoon.
Should probably higher.
It's unbelievable for a championship game. But that just shows you how dominant a football team this is, and I couldn't agree more.
Like 3 in a row, I'm also going with the Crimson Tide. I'm going to give Florida edge in special teams because, Callaway's a pretty dynamic player. That's the only thing.
The return game, yes.
That's the only thing I'm giving to Florida. Ardarius Stewart has emerged as a premier receiver for Jalen Hurts. No one can stop him, So the Tide keeps rolling,
My only response to that is J.K. Scott's the best punter in all of college football.
True.
And with him averaging, I believe it's 48 yards per punt, and Bama's got some great kick coverage. It should be a great matchup, and it's hard to believe that we're saying, oh, there's going to be a great special teams matchup here between a punter and a returner, but that's really something that could be Florida's only hope to get into scoring range is the kicking game.
All right, moving on to the SEC's neighbors, the ACC. Clemson will play Virginia Tech for the title. Who wins this game?
Well, I'm going to go with Clemson. I think they really kind of just went through the motions this year, kind of like a veteran NBA team that's just kind of wins some games, gets in the playoff, then turns it on. I think that's been Clemson this year. I know they suffered one loss this year against Pittsburgh, but they didn't play inherently bad in that game. Virginia Tech, on the other hand, a lot more shaky at the end of the season than how they started. And so I'm going to take Clemson in this one. I think they want to get back in that playoff for that rematch with the Tide.
I agree. I think the Tigers are going to pull this one out. You're looking at, with the struggles of Lamar Jackson as of late, you could argue that Deshaun Watson's now up there as a Heisman favorite again this season. So I think I haven't seen enough from the Hokies to see anything that would make me want to choose them. So I'm going to go with the Clemson Tigers here, I'll say.
Again, I'm 3 in a row. I'm going with the Tigers because I would love to see Mitch Trubisky and the Tar Heels go against Clemson, but that's not happening.
It'd be a better matchup.
It would have been.
I agree.
Wayne Gallman, tremendous player. I just love the offense. Dabo Swinney, he's got them clicking. Like you said, that veteran team can kind of just cruise their way to the top. And I think they're really saving it all just to get that rematch with Bama.
Yep.
All right, moving on to the Big Ten, which doesn't feature either Ohio State or Michigan, but it will be Wisconsin versus Penn State. Gentlemen, who takes the Big Ten crown?
Man, this is tough. And I think we won't go 3 in a row on this one, or at least I hope not. I want to say Penn State because I want to see Penn State in the playoff, but I don't think they're going to get there. I think Wisconsin's the better team here. They play football in very similar ways. James Franklin has done a great job at Penn State. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think they're on the same level as Wisconsin. The defense is stifling. This game's going to remind me a lot of that Wisconsin-Iowa game early on in the year. I think that game ended 17-9. I expect a similar kind of result here. Penn State can't afford to start slow. That's what they've been doing for recent weeks. I think Wisconsin jumps out on them, doesn't look back.
I think this is by far the most intriguing matchup of this weekend. I'm really looking forward to it. But I'm actually going to go with Penn State in this one, mix it up a little bit. I think this new offensive coordinator that James Franklin brought in has really helped turn this team around. And I like to think that they'll move the ball a little bit and make it an interesting game. So I'm going to go with the Nittany Lions here just to mix it up a little bit.
For the record, I don't think either team's going to move the football that well.
I'm going to go with the Badgers. Their run game, tremendous. I really want to focus on the defense. I see you brought the offensive coordinator, but the Badgers' defense is outstanding.
Right.
You see how they held up LSU in the beginning of the game, and they've improved a lot since then. They're getting some playoff hype, so I think they're really looking forward to that. I like Wisconsin in this game.
Yeah, if they win, it's generally believed that they'll be in.
Yeah. Then again, Penn State's playing with a chip on their shoulder, keeping Ohio State out, kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
So it will be a good game.
It's going to be a great game. We're looking
still going with Wisconsin, though.
All right, finally, who knew we'd be talking about this one? But in the MAC, the Western Michigan Broncos will play the Bobcats of Ohio. Who wins this MACtion game, guys?
3 in a row.
No question in my mind. Western Michigan
Row the boat.
wins this game. If there was any doubt that this team was going to go undefeated through the conference championship, because I don't know if they're playing the bowl game yet, I'm not ready to pick that one. But if there was any question, it would have been last weekend when they played Toledo.
Right.
They handled them easily. Cruise to the conference championship game. They are the team of destiny in the MAC. Give me Western Michigan.
Exactly. I'm in the same boat. If this team's 12-0,
are you in the same boat? Are you rowing it?
Why choose against them? All they've done is win. So I think they're going to do the same this weekend.
Right. If you've seen the Toledo game, you've seen Kareem Hunt burst onto the field.
Yeah.
Very electrifying. They handled themselves well. Yes, their starting middle linebacker will be out for the first half, with the targeting call late in the game. But that guy, Corey Davis, tremendous play. FBS leader in receiving yards in a career.
He's the best wide receiver in the nation, by far.
He is. He really is, and he's my top receiver in the draft. Western Michigan has it,
What an exciting time. I love championship weekend, but that is it for our predictions. After the break, the guys are going to answer some trivia questions. It's everyone's favorite. This is Eagle Eye TV and AU Nation. We'll be right back.
A place where it only takes a second to imagine your future. Grasp a new concept in class. Inspire a child's curiosity. Discover a real-world solution. Seize an unexpected opportunity.
There goes Davis!
This is where you gain the preparation, confidence, and determination to succeed. This is Auburn.
Welcome back to AU Nation. Let's answer some trivia questions. Each panelist will get 4 questions worth 1 point each, and the 5th question will be asked to all the panelists is worth 3 points. In the end, I give away bonus points if you guys make me laugh, make me smile, just however I feel like it. It's all very exciting. But let's get started. Buckle up, guys. Let's go. Keith, you will start. The first question for you. This player scored 3 touchdowns for his team, and in Thanksgiving night football, who is he for the NFL? Thanksgiving on NFL, by the way.
I'm gonna go guess here, not positive. I'm saying Antonio Brown.
That's correct. Not a hard guess. Not a hard guess. He is one of the few who does that on a regular basis. Noah, your first question. Only one quarterback in the Power 5 has completed at least 65% of his passes, thrown for over 3,000 yards, and has less than 5 interceptions, but he isn't getting talked about that much at all this season. Who is this quarterback?
Hopefully the future Cleveland Browns quarterback, Mitch Trubisky of North Carolina.
North Carolina. I'll give you a bonus point for that. How do you like that? Bonus point for giving me the school.
Yeah.
Good job. Stefan, your first question. This team has now got the most wins in the NBA at 15. Who is that team?
Is it the Warriors?
It is the Warriors. It is. They are sneaking in there. It's a tough one, I know. All right, Keith, your first one. Your second one, excuse me. Over Thanksgiving break, another Thanksgiving question for you. Who won the NASCAR championship for the 7th time?
It was Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson. What a guy. All right, Noah, your next question. The Kansas Jayhawks won their first football conference game since 2014 against what school?
The good old Texas Longhorns.
Hook 'em horns. Texas is correct. Stefan, your second question. In college basketball, top-ranked Duke lost to Kansas in the Champions Classic. Which school is now number 1 in the AP poll?
Is it Kentucky?
It is Kentucky. Everyone's getting all these questions
Not
right.
a bad guess either, to be honest.
All right, Keith, your third question. This big-time football program had wins vacated in 2012 and 2013. In what school was this?
It was the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
It is the Notre Dame.
It's good for them because they get to vacate that brutal beatdown they had against the Cream.
Yeah, it didn't happen, right? That didn't happen. All right, Noah, your question. The Baltimore Ravens won Sunday thanks to 3 field goals over 50 yards from their kicker. Who is the kicker?
Justin Tucker.
Justin Tucker. Is he on your fantasy team?
He has been in the past, and he won me matchups single-handedly.
I was going to say, that's a lot of fantasy points.
Double-digit points.
A lot of fantasy points. Stefan, your question. Tom Brady tied who for the most wins at the quarterback position this Sunday?
Is it Joe Montana?
It was not Joe Montana.
Should have been Joe.
Keith, for the steal.
Sorry, can you repeat the question real quick?
No, I can't. All right. Tom Brady tied who for the most wins at quarterback on Sunday? He tied somebody with most wins at quarterback. Who was it? All-time wins.
Dan Marino.
Not Dan Marino. Noah, do you know?
I'm going to go with Brett Favre.
Not Brett Favre. It was Peyton Manning, actually. 200 wins.
I had narrowed it down
200 wins.
to him and Peyton.
All right, Keith, your next question. Week 11 of the NFL season saw the most mixed extra points in a single week. How many extra points were missed?
I believe there were 11.
No, not quite. Not quite. Noah, for the steal.
I have no idea, but I'm going to guess with 7.
7, that is
Lucky
also
number 7.
wrong. Stefan, for the steal.
15.
15, you were wrong. Keith, it was 12, actually, so you're really close. Very close. No points there. Noah, your final question. Zach LaVine had another highlight reel dunk recently over this Phoenix Suns center.
Oh, boy. Ex-Maryland center Alex Lynn.
Ooh, boy, that was... I didn't think you were going to get it, to be honest with you. I don't know why I didn't think you were going to get it. Stefan, your final question. This AFC North team lost their star wide receiver and star running back to a torn ACL and torn hamstring. Which team is this? AFC North team. There's only 4.
I really haven't been keeping up with the AFC North. I'm going to pass this one.
Pass.
Yes,
First pass in AU Nation trivia. Keith, for the pass answer, I guess. Who is it? AFC North team.
I'm going to go with Cincinnati Bengals.
Bengals is correct. Can you give me the players?
Giovanni Bernard.
That is one.
Traded him off my fantasy team the day before.
I'll give you a bonus point for that. Can you name me the other player, the wide receiver?
AJ Green.
That is correct. Wow. All right. Keith is in the lead going into the final question. Everybody will answer this final question. On Saturday, a game in the ACC set the FBS record for total points scored in the Pittsburgh versus Syracuse game. How many total points were scored? Closest answer is the correct one. Keith, you will go first. Total points scored. 137. 137, Noah?
I have to do math. I know the score.
Ooh.
Can I give you the score?
I'll take the score. If you give me the score, I'll take it.
76-61.
That is correct. And then don't do the math, Stefan. How many points? Quick.
How many points? 135.
Don't do the math. Ocho just said it.
135.
135 is actually 137. Keith, you're right. And that is correct score. So I'll give it to you. Ocho. But Keith did win because of the bonus points you got there. Noah, you did get 1 bonus point. That's good. Keith, congratulations. You do get a hug from me after the show. That is what we always win.
This is ridiculous. I can get them all right and I'll still lose. Bonus points every week. That's how I lose.
But that is it for the show. We will be back again next semester. So Merry Christmas to everyone, and we will see you guys later. Adios.